week ago, the church celebrated the Solemnity of All Saints as a day set aside to honor the canonized saints who have gone before us marked with sign of faith, especially those saints that we know we also venerate, our patron saints, our named saints. It was also a Memorial Day when we celebrated the unknown saints, those who lived inspiring life but were never canonized by the church. And lastly, it was also a day where we celebrated ourselves as living saints, those of us who are called to emulate their lifestyle, forging ahead, following their footpaths, and leaving our own footprints on the sands of time. However, today, this afternoon, I invite you to reflect also with me with the title, Mary, the Queen of All Saints, to show us how powerful the twofold title is, as she's both a queen and a saint, a combined honor. And now this title, she inspired our lives as devotees of Mary who are following the pathway to heaven, hoping that someday we'll join the host of the angels and the saints. Mary is a queen. We are no strangers to queenship. The monarchy has been part of British history and existence. The current Queen Elizabeth has ruled longer than any other monarchy in British history, becoming a much loved and respected figure across the globe. On her 21st birthday, in a speech broadcast on the radio from Cape Town, the Queen, then a princess, said, "I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service." The point is that service to the people is the hallmark of an earthly queen. But what makes Mary's queenship exemplary? A few years after the proclamation of the dogma of the Assumption in 1950, amidst the fervor of the coronation of Our Lady, Pope Pius XII finally instituted the liturgical feast of the Queenship of Mary on August 22nd, 1954, which takes place 8 days after the Assumption. And then he contemplated and said, "Mary sits next to the King of the centuries. She shines as queen and intercedes as a mother." Additionally, Pope Pius XII added in his encyclical Ad Coeli Reginam, Mary became the first of those who served Christ in others, with humility and patience, leading brothers and sisters to the King whom to serve is to reign. In other words, Mary's queenship is about what she renders to one who reigns, which is Christ. Mary's greatness is embedded in our service to God. She stooped in order to conquer, and God honored her. We can call it a holy partnership. Secondly, our service is geared towards bringing all children of God back to the side of God. And let us take that from the image of the lioness, because it can give us a better understanding. A lioness is a queen. She's the queen of the forest. And even though her cubs may be undeserving, she will watch over them for the sake of her pride. Mary is the queen of heaven and earth. She protects us and defends us, not because we are worthy, but because we belong to the kingdom of our Son, where she is the queen. As queen, she ensures that the members of God's kingdom are protected. Because she is a mother and because she is a queen, our relationship with us is based on love and mercy. Mary as a saint. Mary was chosen and consecrated by God before the church started her devotion because of her heroic role she played in the salvific mission, and she still intercedes for all humankind. From then, she consented to the divine mercy through her extraordinary virtues. She has been the holiest and the greatest saints. Mother Mary is the ultimate example of trusting God, accepting the divine assignment, being chosen without bothering to stop and to cross-check our gains and losses. Most time when people are invited to serve or people are invited for an employment, one of the things you're going to negotiate or discuss is what is the salary, what is it? But when God was giving Mary that ultimate work to be the mother of Savior, she didn't say, hang on, you're giving me a big task. I'm going to leave all my husband, Joseph. He's not going to ever have access to me. I'm going to bear all the shame in the world for a 15-year-old lady to be found pregnant. That would be scandalous. What are my losses? What are my gains? She didn't wait a minute to count all of that or to ask for details. She just said yes to God. And so the church positioned our devotion before all the saints. The devotion to all the saints is called the Dulia, which is recognition of the saints. And after the Dulia, we have the Hyperdulia, which is the devotion we have to Mother Mary, and which is placed after devotion to God, which is the Almighty, the Latria. According to St. Thomas Aquinas, the doctor of the church, writing in his Summa Theologiae, he explained, because of Mary's unique relationship to Christ in salvation history, however, the special degree of devotion due to Mary has traditionally been called Hyperdulia, while Latria is owned to her Son by reason of unity of the divine and human nature in person of the Word made flesh. Hyperdulia is due to Mary as truly his mother. So Mary's sainthood is originally an example of faith that we should all look to as instructive in being more like Christ. Mary's mother is kind to all of us. It shows us a way of holiness and what it entails for us to be able to follow our footsteps. Mary as the Queen of all saints. As we have established that a saint is a holy person, and Mary's sainthood is associated to her service to God, we also must remember that Mary believed in God and obeyed God, including among the holy ones, but she placed, and God placed her higher than the cherubim and more glorious than the seraphim. The book of Revelation describes her as a woman in heaven, adorned with the sun, standing on the moon, and with the 12 stars on her head for a crown. Revelation chapter 11, verse 19 to 20. Because of our unique ministry as the mother of Jesus, Mary deserves a special place of honor among Christians. More than the accolades that we give to our best-selling authors, athletes, musicians, or our celebrity crush. The Bible text, which can be understood particularly referred to Mary, it says, those whom God predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified. Our Blessed Virgin Mary was predestined by God, called, justified, so she entered into God's glory. Romans chapter 8, verse 30. What is the implication of this title to us who are devotees of Mary? The feast and the title are strategically placed in the litany to remind us that God has a penchant for doing great things and for rewarding our service. You can imagine a woman having two sons, and he says to them, go, boys, go to your room and take care of your rooms. And one of them said, Mom, I'm not going, I'm so tired. And the mother goes there, the room is still dirty and unkept. And the mother goes to the second room. The room is not just only kept tidy, the bed is laid, the wardrobe is arranged, the shoes are well placed. Of course, the mom will be much, much, much happier with the second child who takes instruction and does that will of the mom. And so Mary did the will of God. And so she shows us that pathway. She shows us the pathway for which we must continue. Moreover, from the earliest centuries of the church, those people would do the will of God, and we see them, ordinary things in an extraordinary ways, are called saints. And they lay a very good way, a good pathway for us. Like St. Paul, we always say, we too are saints. We are saints because we also are following a footpath of people who have lived and left good marks for us. So if paraphrasing the Pauline writing style, Mary remains model to us. And so this afternoon, I can say to all of us, saints in England, because we as devotees of Mary, she keeps interceding for us. And that is why we say England is a dowry, Mary is a dowry of England, to remind us of our love and the Mother of God, and encourage us to let our light shine. When I say our light should shine, it means our personal gifts of faith should radiate to people of this country through our prayer and protection of the Queen of all Saints. Since the majesty and queenship is for service, we are also called to serve like Martha with hospitality, and with Mary listening to the word and keeping it straight in our hearts. However, we're living in a time in the modern world where people do not fancy the role of Mary or devotion to Mary. They ask us, what's the point? Why are we disturbing ourselves, saying the rosary, creating special moments to celebrate Mary? Mary is just an instrument that God used, and after using her, God dumped her. That's the way they want us to see Mary. But of course, that is ignorance. Ignorance makes people very blind. Of course, I often see publicity, advertisement, and the way people treat the crowd, greet the earthly crown. Yet the difference to the Queen of all Saints show how much our age wants us to keep her in the background. Perhaps we are not good marketers of our life of obedience and greatness. Or we who are members of the church, we are struggling with the paradigm shifts. The paradigm shift is the culture that we live in now, the culture that enthrones social over spiritual, a culture that appreciates entertainment and arts over religion. Unfortunately, the emptiness the paradigm shift brings is apparent. One doesn't have to travel far to see the family life disintegrating daily, people suffering from the ravages of divorce, violence, abuse of every kind, addiction, terrorism, poverty, disease, among others. We are gradually losing the sense of the sacred. We tend to be progressively removing God from everything. But we need to call on Mary to intercede on our behalf so that we can have access to the richness of the mercy of God. We must not forget to ask for pardon as delivered by the angel of peace during the first apparition of the angel to the 3 shepherd children of Fatima in the spring of 1916. He said, "My God, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love thee. I beg pardon for those who do not believe, who do not adore, who do not hope, and who do not love thee." While we are still experiencing religious decline, distrust in politics, the sexual revolution, technological manipulation, cybercrime, cyberbullying, civil rights movement, multiculturalism, non-nuclear family, counterculture, and consumerism that is rattling us. We are encouraged today to refocus our gaze on Mary, whose interaction and affiliation with Jesus earn her a special place beyond all exploration. The title Queen of All Saints encourages us towards the path of holiness and service in a world where everyone wants to become the Lord and Master, where leadership has become a burden to followership, where the benefits of love she render, but through the benefits of love she render, she takes us to Jesus. Look at what she did. She took Jesus to the temple so that Jesus can know the way of the Lord. Is that not what Proverbs tells us in 22 verse 6? Train up your children the way you should go, and when they are old, they will never depart from me. So Mary started taking Jesus right from a young age on the pathway to Christ. And so she became a queen because of her service such as taking Jesus to Christ. And so every absent mother and absent fathers in the life of the children should emulate Mary to care and to love these children in the way of God. Of course, in this age and time, we are always wondering, why is the church empty of youths and children, while the children are everywhere in the park watching football, in the market square, everywhere except church. I was directing RCIA for a Rights of Christian Initiation for adults, and I asked them, what's happening? Why are you just joining the church now that you're 30, 35, 40? Most of them confessed, I live within that group, they confessed to the fact that while they were growing up, they went to Catholic schools, but as soon as they got to secondary schools, their parents left them to decide whether they want to serve God, to decide whether to choose God or not to choose God. You are grown up now, you have the freedom. If you want to go to church, that's left to you. Of course, service to God is not like choosing between cake and bread. No. Every child deserves to be taught and guided and cared for in the path of Christ. So there's no time somebody outgrows divine mercy. There's no time somebody outgrows the blessings of God. So they can be 25, they can be 30, they can still be nudged into getting their way back to church. And I particularly love what Pope Francis reiterated during the canonization of the 15-year-old Italian saint Carlos Acutis. He said to us, this generation has a role model in the devotion to the Eucharist. At least we can see that we have a saint who wears sneakers, wear hoodie, eat pizza, visited the cinema, and still have a loving devotion to God and became a saint. And so adolescence is not all about sinfulness and exploration in the world. It's not all about discovery and purpose. Those our children and grown-ups and everyone, we all can find ourselves in God, becoming the light that can dispel the dark night of the souls. Mary is not just only queen of all the saints, she's also the refuge of sinners, who leads all erring souls back to Christ through our mediation powers. So what does this Queen of Angels have to say to us? The title doesn't just recognize the particular place of Mary in the church, it also calls each of us into a close discipleship of our Son. Mary's role is one of the ordinary humanity made extraordinary by openness and receptivity to God's words. She consistently points us to Christ, to the good news. How then can I, me, you, all of us, to be called into that ordinary, everyday humanity, to listen and to respond to God's words, pointing to and orienting our life towards the presence of Jesus? So today, we are invited to enter into this reality with Mary, accept our discipleship, and see clearly where it is that Mary is pointing towards. And she's inviting us to refocus our gaze to Jesus. And while we do that, we should also encourage all of us. Like Cornelius says, for me and my household, we shall serve the Lord. So Mary is calling all of us to come together, to open our lives and ourselves up to that intimate closeness to Jesus and Mary, trusting in her that she can draw us closer to the presence of God. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, hail our life, our sweetness, and our hope. Till thee will cry, poor banished of Eve, till thee will send of our side, mourning and weeping in this vale of tears. Turn them, most gracious Advocate, your eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of the womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary, pray for us, Holy Mother of God. Ave,